rodeo.
Man,
Brie.
if you can rope a scallop, you're a man.
Yeah. Well, Dave, here at the Academy
Screw that blue
Sports
marlin
and
fishing.
Outdoors,
That's hard stuff.
rigs and techniques. Every week we talk about stuff at the CCA workbench. So, you know, tonight is your thing, man.
I love blue marlin.
You know, so let's get into it.
Florida isn't the hottest blue marlin spot in the world by any stretch, but we have blue marlins here. There are places where you can get out there and catch them. Like Patty was saying, he started off tonight saying Destin is probably the very first one you'd start. That's where I would start, that Panhandle region, just for the same reasons he quoted. You got all those oil rigs out there, tons of tuna fish and stuff for them to eat. So that's where a lot of blue marlin hang out. Now the second place, probably the most people don't realize, but the 27 fathom curve off Jacksonville is a great place to catch them because, again, there's a bunch of tunas out there on the edge of the Gulf Stream, and it's a long ways they got to go. But because of that,
how far do they have to go, Dave?
60 miles.
Oh, that's not
60
bad.
miles. So yeah, it's not like going out where Patty has to go. They got to go, you know, at least 60 miles to start fishing. But also, you can go to Woods Wall off Key West. They just had a tournament down there. There's a bunch of them out there. Also in the Bahamas, you know, if you can fish out of South Florida, Miami, and go to Bimini and get over there and get into them pretty good. And believe it or not, like Holiday was saying, the bonita schools outside of Jupiter Inlet and even Cape Canaveral, those big tuna schools, and when those shrimpers are in there, believe it or not, sometimes blue marlin will come in there and eat those bonita schools. And if you sit on those bonita schools all summer with a bonita out, you'll probably end up catching a blue marlin. Now, in Florida, one of the best ways to catch one, besides pulling lures, which we'll talk about in a minute, is using live baits when you're out there fishing for dolphin and stuff. A lot of guys catch them by accident when they're catching a dolphin. You know, they'll come up and eat a dolphin. Well, if you're out there fishing for dolphin on a nice weed line or something, the best thing to do is the first little dolphin you catch, put a big circle hook in his nose and let him out. And let him hang way back down in there. Because if there's a blue marlin around, if there's a bunch of little dolphins around, then there's a good chance there could be a blue marlin there, and he will come up and eat that little dolphin. I mean, that's a really good tip. If you're out there trying to, you know, stock the boat up with little dolphins, just make sure you put one out. Because not only will he catch a blue marlin, he'll also catch a big wahoo or just, you know, big shark or whatever. So make sure you put him out. Now, for most guys who, you know, aren't really great at the bait and switch method, which is a really good method to catch blue marlins, where you pull teasers and then pitch bait to them and free spool a bait to them when they eat it. If you're not good at that, which most fellas need some practice to be good at that, probably the best thing to do is to pull lures. Right. Because lures are pretty much, you're either going to hook them or you're not. It's an automatic thing. They come out of the clips and he's either on or he's not. And you know, you're pulling at a certain amount of drag, and you don't really have to mess with the drag that much. You don't have to worry about free spooling the bait back and that sort of thing, where you can get backlash and mess it up. And if you pull lures, like Patty again said, that wide range, that is a great lure for a novice person to pull. Not only because it catches everything in the ocean that swims, it goes straight as an arrow. You can pull it at any speed, at any sea state, even in big waves, and going real fast. And that's why it's called a wide range. It works under a wide range of speeds and a wide range of sea conditions. Now, if it's flat calm, you know, you heard Holiday say a Kona head. Well, that's a Kona head lure, really a Kona head, because it's got a big cupped face on it and whatnot. And that thing is going to go down there and do this business. And if you're in a big rough sea or something, or you're going too fast, these things might come out of the water. And that's what you want your lures to do, is to stay in the water and go straight. You know, you want them to come up and pop and go in, pop and go in. And if you're cruising along at 8 knots, something's going to come up and give it a sniff. So Dave, we got about a minute left. Why don't we talk a little bit about how guys now are using dredges to bring the fish up? Well, you know, this is a big deal for a lot of the guys who are doing that bait and switch stuff. You're pulling a lot of teasers, and this, we're not going to let it out because it turns into a giant umbrella. But this is a mackerel teaser, and what you'll do is you'll have one of these on each side of the boat. Usually, they'll usually pull 2 of them, and what they'll do is they'll try to get a marlin to come up on one of these teasers, and then they'll pitch a bait out. Sometimes they'll have a bait already in the water and they'll wind it up to the teaser, or sometimes they'll just leave it there and wait for him to come. They'll pull the teasers out of the water, turn the boat a little bit, and try to get him to come up on the bait. And that's, you know, it's a great thing to do. It's the funnest way to catch a marlin. It just takes a little bit a little bit of extra effort. You know, you have to learn how to free spool, because when I'll be honest with you, if a guy sees a blue marlin for the first time, his fingers stop working, his feet stop working.
Right.
You know, they freak out a lot. So
The only thing that is going on is a lot of yelling.
exactly. So, you know, the lures are the best thing to do if you're not used to it and you really want to catch one.
All right, Bree.
Small hooks.
I can tell you're absorbing.
I am absorbing, and I've never seen you so quiet. Imagine that. Good job, Dave.